dirty.
Hello everyone and welcome back to Boomtown Speedway, home of the Street Stock Series.
He used to be a NASCAR fan till we lost.
As always, I am your host, Mike Phillips, and I will be calling today's racing
with all his
action.
redneck friends as far as you could
Now
see.
that qualifying is complete, we have the track crews and water trucks out on the track, prepping the track surface for tonight's racing action. Inside lanes and outside lanes, we're getting special attention paid to them, so there's the optimal track surface for the competitors tonight. So with qualifying out of the way, that leads us to the racing. It's time for heat number 1 of race number 3. All of the cars are already lined up by heat on pit road, ready to rock and roll when it's their turn to get out onto the track. Each one of these drivers is feeling something kind of special. This is the halfway point in the Street Stock Series for season number 4. If you aren't in the top 5 in points after this race, your championship aspirations are probably slim to none. But that is 3 races from now. Right now, we're focused on this race, race number 3. So let's get down to the track, get the cars out on the track for drivers' introductions. Here are your drivers' introductions for race 3, heat 1. Starting on the pole, in the number 40 Ford Thunderbird, it's Lcdrl. On the outside of row number 1, in the number 0 GTO, it's Cash Money himself. Inside row number 2, in the 21 Buick, it's Sneaky Bob. Outside row number 2 in the Chevy Caprice is number 77 Frank Y. Inside row number 3 in the number 53 Ford Mustang, it's Crazy Canuck. Outside in the number 7 Chevy Nova, it's Craigster Sr. Inside row number 4 in the number 5 Ford Mustang is Xavier. And in your final starting position, in the outside of row number 4, in the 17 Mustang, it's Bob. So that is it. That is your starting order for heat race number 1. The drivers are rolling underway and getting lined up on the backstretch, heading to look for the green. Here come the drivers and then cars rolling down the backstretch, lined up, looking to take the green. The green flag is out. Heat race number 1 is underway. Here they come looking good, trying to complete lap number 1. Who's going to take the lead? Basically, get out front. Big contact behind. Hard hit into the wall by Sneaky Bob. Things look relatively smooth for Lcdrl coming out of the turn and into the short chute, but behind him, Cash Money and Sneaky Bob make contact. Crazy Canuck gets up in on the outside wall, into the inside barrier goes Sneaky Bob, hard hit, back across the track and gets into Xavier. Rough lap for Sneaky Bob for sure. Exiting the turn and into the short chute, Lcdrl was protecting that inside line. Sneaky Bob and Cash Money tried to follow, didn't work. Went to the outside, make contact. Sneaky Bob hard into the inside wall and collects Xavier for his trouble. And here they are at the line. Lcdrl with a comfortable lead. Cash Money holds on to second. Crazy Canuck moves the spot up. And Sneaky Bob falls all the way to 8th. After one lap, Lcdrl has a comfortable lead. Cash Money himself is in second, sending Sneaky Bob all the way to the rear. Crazy Canuck survives a slap into the wall and climbs into third. Frank White's in fourth, Xavier's in fifth, and Craig's the senior sits in sixth. Here we go for lap number 2. Bay City Darrell in the lead. Oh, he gets turned. Oh, a big hit for 3 drivers on the inside wall. We have a new leader. Let's head to the replay and see what happened to the leader. Heading into the turn, Bay City Darrell is still in the lead. Nose to tail, goes up to block the outside lane. Cash Money gets into the back of him, messes up the field. Bay City Darrell, Cash Money, and Crazy Canuck into the wall, while Xavier and Frank White battle it out for the lead. You can see it here going into the turn. Bay City Darrell gets turned, and it was all hell from there. As you can see, if they dump onto the front stretch, half the field goes into the wall, the other half is battling for the lead. Keep your eyes peeled as they come to the line. Frank White is able to hold off a hard-charging Xavier and Craigster Sr. to take the lead in lap number 2. And after 2 laps, you have a new leader. Frank White is taking the point, followed closely by number 5, Xavier, in second. Craigster Sr. and his new Nova's in third. Sneaky Bob has fought his way back into 4th after slipping to 8th after lap 1. Puff is in 5th, and Bay City Darrell, after tagging the wall real hard, slips back to 6th. Here we are, lap number 3. Frank White's in the lead. They make contact. Frank White gets turned. He's able to hold off Xavier. Xavier is coming. There was a lot of action on that lap. Let's head to the replay and dissect it. Frank White was doing everything in his power to maintain his lead. When they were coming at a turn, he and Xavier leaned on each other. One leaned a little too far. Frank White goes for a ride, as does Craigster Sr., but all of them were able to maintain their position, or at least I believe they did. And as they exit the turn into the short chute, man, Xavier goes for a ride. Craigster Sr. slams the door on Sneaky Bob to hold that outside lane. By the time they were on the front stretch, most of the field was amidst the chaos, but not Xavier. He was rail riding, but Frank White was able to slam the door on him and maintain his lead. And here they are approaching the line for lap number 3. Frank White leaning heavy on Xavier. Craigster Sr. spinning over the line, and here comes Bay City Darrell doing what he can to advance positions before the final lap. And after 3 laps, Frank White still leads, but he's got his hands full with a hungry Xavier sitting in second. Craigster Sr.'s in third, but he's battling tooth and nail with number 21, Sneaky Bob. Bay City Darrell's back up in the 5th, and Puff is in 6th. Lap number 4, things should get interesting. Frank White has the good lead. He gets pushed in the front by Craigster Sr., but he spins anyway. He's still in the lead, but he goes over the line spinning. I want you to keep your eyes on the White Thunderbird number 40, driven by Bay City Darrell. He gets such a great run through the turn, he gets into the back of Craigster Sr. and turns him into Xavier. Unfortunately, that move worked out for no one except for maybe Puff, who made a great move on the outside. Look on the short chute where Frank White was also the recipient of the bump from Bay City Darrell. That was a hit. I thought Frank White was going to take the opportunity to step away when Xavier got spun, but it was not to be. He too ended up hitting the wall, and here comes Craigster Sr. And as they come across the line, Frank White still has the lead. Craigster Sr. second, Sneaky Bob's has third. And with 1 lap remaining, Frank White maintains the lead. Craigster Sr. sitting pretty in his new Nova in second. Sneaky Bob's in third in the final transfer spot. Puff is sitting right there in 4th in the number 17. Xavier's in 5th, and Bay City Darrell sits in 6th. The white flag is out. This is the 5th and final lap of heat race number 1. Can he hold on? Can Frank White get the lead? No! He spins. He had a huge lead and spun. I honestly don't know who won that. I gotta see the replay. I hate to say it, but I'm not quite sure who won that. Frank White jumps out to a commanding lead. He's on the inside while Xavier is crashing in the back. Here comes Craigster Sr. and Sneaky Bob battling to the very end. I think Sneaky Bob actually took it. Things went all sorts of bad right here entering the short chute. Xavier gets turned to the outside into Puff. That allows Sneaky Bob, Craigster Sr., and Frank White to break away. They're going to finish 1, 2, 3. Just which 1, 2, 3 was it? And here it is at the line for all of us to see. 1, 2, 3, Sneaky Bob. Craigster Sr. is able to take second, and Frank White falls to third. What a battle to the very end. That was crazy. After 5 laps, Sneaky Bob led a total of 1 lap, but it was the most important lap, and it was the final lap, and he got himself the heat win. Craigster Sr. finished in second. Frank White was in the lead most of the day, finished in third in the final transfer spot. Puff finishes in fourth, Cash Money slips back to fifth, and Bay City Darrell, showing lots of power all day, but lacking the handling, he ends up taking sixth. While things get set up for heat race number 2, our Boomtown Speedway track and safety teams are out there picking up hazards from the track. This happens to be part of the bumper from Frank White at the end of the front stretch. So, congratulations to Sneaky Bob, Craigster Sr., and Frank White for advancing to the Race 3 feature. That'll do it for heat race number 1. Heat races 2 through 4 are yet to come. This was heat 1 from race 3 of the Boomtown Speedway Street Stock Series. If you liked it, please hit the subscribe button, the like button, add a comment and a thumbs up, and share it with your friends if you would. Until next time, it's heat race number 2. We will see you at the races.